Hi, I'm Kyle Bass, Associate Artistic Director here at Syracuse Stage. And I'm so happy that you've joined us for this reunion of the cast and artistic team of Tales from the Salt City. What you will see is more than a reconnection, but a regathering of the members of that very unique production that was written by Ping Chong and Sara Zatz and directed by Ping Chong. And the story grew out of the individual stories of the participants, and those are the cast members that you'll meet tonight. Here, we meet up 12 years later and we reminisce and we are inspired anew and we share again what is so necessary about theater in times of fear, in times of division, living in and through acts of othering, and in a world where lies have trumped the truth. Theater blesses the human spirit to communicate its stories, and I am so happy to have the cast back, to have brought Ping Chong and Sara Zatz back to be in conversation, to be in community once again. I hope you enjoy.
Why Syracuse? Why did you come here? You know, why choose this group of people? And I know Kyle, you were part of interviewing different people, and Sara, you were part of putting the script together. So I'd love to hear, just for the people who weren't a part of this, to hear a little bit more of like, how did you come to Syracuse and create this really amazing experience here?
Well, I think it starts with Tim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, because Tim, I know Tim from other, from the theater world. And then when he came to Syracuse and when he came here, he wanted me to bring Undesirable Elements. And he wanted to look at Syracuse from the point of view of more recent immigrants, rather than the immigrants from the past, but who are the new people, as well as the people who've been here a long time. Like Al's an example of someone who's really been here a long time. And Jeannie, of course, it's Onondaga land, so it was natural to include Jeannie, because the show is not just about the people, it's also about the city of Syracuse and the history of Syracuse. At least that's the way I chose to approach it, And so then we just went, Kyle was helping us source people who might be of interest to be part of this project. I think an interesting question is, why did Rebecca or Gordana or Al or Imad or Jeannie or Lino choose to show up?
Yeah.
I think that's also because the show is about, at that point, is a show about the different people who make up a community, who come from different worlds. And the history of America is the diversity of people who come here, So I'd love to hear, I don't remember how everybody came to us or why you came to us, for this project. Or we're open, and we're very grateful that you were open enough to speak to a stranger that you didn't know, Because I know, like you, I know, I'm coming in cold. You kind of go, who the hell is this guy, right? Why is he asking us all these questions, But I'm interested to hear what other people have to say.
And one memory I have is of Imad. When you came in, when Imad came in, when you came in for the interview, I came downstairs to greet you in the lobby, and you were sitting at one of those round silver tables in the lobby. You were filling out some paperwork, and you, I remember it being cold out. I don't know why, but I remember it being chilly. And
it's Syracuse.
Exactly. It was probably August, it was 30 degrees. But Imad was styling. You had on a blazer and you had on this scarf. And I thought, oh, this is an interesting person. This is a person I want to get to know. And it's interesting how that process happens. I'll have others chime in, but that was kind of the door in, was responding to Ping and Sara's call to gather some people, and then we'll have these interviews. And so, yes, why did you show up? Why did you want to do it? Is a great question.
I mean, I had no idea what to expect. I up to that point, I still didn't know what this was about. I remember when you called me, and I think I mentioned this to you before, Kyle, was that I thought you were looking for my wife because you talked about the theater and you talked about acting, and that's my wife's background. I was like, why is this man calling me, right? Why was I referred to this? So there was a level of curiosity in trying to figure out what this is about. What is it related to? I'm always a fan of storytelling. I've never been a part of it, so being included in something like this was powerful. And then being on the stage with Sara and Ping for the first time, it was very weird and odd, right? In a sense that because this was outside of my comfort zone, there were two strangers that I've never met before. And then right away, it felt like I released all of these emotions, like out of nowhere, to these two strangers, in a place that's pretty cold, because, like, it's not that cold in a sense of, that it was the weather. It was cold that you're on a stage and it was empty. It was an empty stage, no audience. It was dark. And all of a sudden, these two people you never met are pulling things out of you, and you're answering them without even hesitating. I felt like you guys were like Ice-T from from a Law and Order or something like that. Like all of a sudden interrogating us, and we were just releasing this information. And I remember leaving the audition, just really confused, like, what the heck just happened? Like I told all these things about me that I didn't even really tell my wife yet, right? So it's like all these things that came out of nowhere. I didn't expect to share it. I didn't expect to acknowledge it. I didn't expect to cry. I didn't expect a lot. So it was a very powerful experience. Yeah.
It was like opening up something that had been closed up for a long time, right?
It was like therapy. It was like really good therapy.
I think I always like also storytelling, and I have been in Syracuse for about 5 years, but in New York since 1998, and it had never been in my plans to end up in New York. The Army brought me here, and I stayed because I got married, and just this is my home. But it's very different when you are in another country. When you're in Mexico, when I was in Mexico, we were in a minority. We were just regular people. When you come to the United States, you become a Latino or Hispanic. Then you're part of this group, and I just wanted to explore what that was, and to understand this place, because it was very, very different from where I grew up. And to meet all these people, that was like history alive. Connecting with people that way, it was very beautiful. And it's an experience that I'm never gonna forget. And meeting all of you, that was amazing.
One thing we should mention is that let's talk about this particular production, Tales of the Salt City, is that this cast, like Imad, is from Cambodia. He's Muslim in Cambodia, which is to say he is a minority in Cambodia because Cambodia is a Buddhist country. And then he had to leave because of the war in Cambodia, and he ended up in the United States as someone who's an outsider here as well. In Cambodia, he's being Muslim is already an outsider, and he had a third sense of outsiderness by having to come here because of the war as a refugee. But the thing that surprised me in rereading the script before this reunion was I just went, this is so relevant. This script is like not dated at all, and Al's story is like, sorry that it's still relevant. You know what I mean? I'm sorry it's still relevant, in fact, all these stories. And Gordana as an immigrant also, that sense of I said, Americans don't understand that people don't leave their homeland freely. You know, I mean, why would you leave everything you know, all your friends, all your customs to go somewhere where you don't know anything? If Americans need to think, use their brains and not be lazy and think about what that means, would they do that? If they had to leave America and live somewhere else, do you have any idea what that means? Do they have any idea how hard it is for people to lose all their friends, their food, their culture, their customs, and have to readjust? You know, it's like people need to think a little more. So let's hear from Gordana and Al as well. And Gordana, I should mention Gordana's from Macedonia.
Yes, so nice to see all of you again. And I was so blessed to be on that play. It was mean a lot to me. I remember the day when Kyle came at the deli and asked me, Gordana, I know you for so many years, but I never heard how you came to America. And I started telling him story. And then the next day he said, would you be interested to be on the play at Syracuse stage and telling all this story up front of so many people? I said, that sounds interesting. So that's how I started. Then I have interviewed Pink and Sara, and I was chosen of the 30 people to be 7 people and be part of the Tellers of the Salt City. Was very emotional going through all this, hearing the stories, special on Rebecca and Matt, and special on Lino, who is not here. Another side was great experience. It was so nice after every night, after the play, all these people meeting us and seeing themselves on the play. They say, oh my God, Gordana, it's same how I came. I married somebody and I leave everybody and I'm here like seeing my life all over again. So it was really good experience.
It's so important for us to always remember, like, everyone you interact with every day has a story, and you don't know their story. You don't know what kind of day they're having. You don't know what they had to live through just to show up at work at that deli that day. And I think for, audience members at Syracuse Stage who for years probably stopped at the deli to get a cup of coffee before going to see a play there, and maybe never asked themselves, who are the folks working here? What love and hard work went into building this business that's right across from this place that they may have tickets to? Or maybe people at Syracuse Stage never walked into that deli all the years that they had subscription tickets. And so I think this idea that, we're moving through space and time every day, interacting with people, and, the heart and compassion that we need to bring to just say, what's your story? Is, I think, part of what makes Undesirable Elements so special as a piece of theater and makes it part of the ways that we can build community, is just to say, I know you have a story and your story is valuable and people want to hear it. And so that story of how, Kyle went and asked that question to Gordana, I think is really emblematic of what can make this kind of work and this kind of theater really meaningful and like life-changing and community building.
Story, this play was really what Ping Chong said, every single American should rethink how this country is built. What on the play we mentioned, doesn't matter how many years passed, we all came from somewhere. Not me, not your parents, but your great parents came from somewhere. And that's how America was built, on immigrants.
I have to honestly say that I forget how I got asked to audition for this show.
Kyle, did you know Al already?
Yes, Al. I ran into Al at Colin's barbershop. Remember? You don't remember this?
Yeah.
So, right. And I didn't know Al, and I don't think this is before you guys had come to Syracuse to do the project. Anyway, I walked in to get my haircut. I got my haircut for the last time, and Al was
Three
there.
of us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's back. It's back. I got it back now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Four of us.
Al was Al was there at the barbershop and he was talking like we do at the barbershop. And I thought, oh my God, this voice. And I was working on a play and I was like, I have to hear him read a part or I just can't keep going. And so Al, I think I talked to you then, and then I came over to your apartment and you read the play for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then when we were doing, I think when this started, I remembered you and knew you were from Syracuse and reached out and said you should come. And that's how that kind of went down.
Nothing about knowing I had a theater background already. Anything like that, you know? But yeah, I have to honestly say, my grandmother used to live around the corner from Syracuse Stage. And when I was a little kid, I used to see all the people. I think this was part of the story, but I used to see all the people going in and out, and I'd be looking back and my grandmother would be pulling on me, you know. And this went around for a few years, you know, but I didn't really know what was going on. All I know is actually, take that back. It was a movie theater.
Right, the Regent Theater.
It was the Regent Theater.
Yeah.
So my uncle used to take me there, babysitting, and he'd take me because he was taking his girlfriend to the movies. So I don't know what the deal was, but it was like, well, you take him too. You know what I'm saying? Good old Western movies, you know. But then it changed. The transition. It became Regent's Theater, and then there was Syracuse Stage, I believe. And I always said, one day, I'm going to do something in that theater. And lo and behold, when Kyle came and told me, I'm like, all the shows I've ever done, I was never able to break that barrier and get into Syracuse Stage. Well, that Tales from the Salt City changed all that. And I'm not going to lie, you know, that was a thing on my mind. Oh, I finally get to see what this theater's all about, you know. And it was so exciting. And I was holding my breath, man, holding my breath. Are they going to take me? Are they going to take me? I'm 50-something years old, you know. But I'll tell you what, man, it was a heck of an experience. I just did a reading for the Dutch theme for Othello. Last week, I think it was. And I can't remember the names offhand, but I did that death scene. And while I was while I went in to perform it, I just went in one shot. It was a one-shot deal. And it was for the Paul Robeson's festival they were having, a tribute to Paul Robeson. And they aired it last week as it was on YouTube. And I went there, and one of the women she was like, Al, could you take your glasses off so this other lady, beautiful lady, could see who you are? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So then she's like, that's him. That's Tales from the Salt City. That just happened like 2 weeks ago. So I'm still getting kudos, man, for that show. You know what I'm saying? All throughout the years, you always run into somebody that recognizes you. That show, I mean, it hit everybody's heart. Everyone that I've known that commented on that show, it was like, oh, that was just, you know, if you do another one up here, Ping, I'll definitely be there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about me as an actor. I'm just talking about me as not as a performer, but just as a part of the audience, because it really did a lot for a lot of people. It did. I'm really glad to have been a part of it. I've enjoyed it. I mean, that'll be with me. I mean, I think that's one of the premier shows of my time, to see all the different all the different lifestyles, people from all over, what they're going through. You know, when you think you've had it bad, and then you meet someone like Ahmad, who, look at him now. I mean, this he's a politician now, on top of a scholar. You know what I'm saying? And uh, 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 everyone just had different things, and I'm sitting there like, I'm a homeboy. I thought I was doing bad, and all these other folks in the show have really they've stepped up, man, and it was just it's just a wonderful feeling to be with a beautiful cast, and that's sincerely from my heart. And I really enjoyed that show. That's one of there is no top three. There is no top two. That was a learning experience for me. So that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah.
Lino was from the Sudan, and when he was in the show, I don't know how old he was. I think he was in his 20s, early 20s. And I remember he was working at the supermarket, I think.
I think he was working for Stickley's, right? For the furniture.
Oh, he was working
Well,
for-
I know part of the time he had worked at a supermarket. I don't remember if that was in the script or something I just remembered. But he, in the show, he's never seen snow before. And in the show, we had snow coming down just on him, I remember, right? In the show.
We have that photo. It's
Yeah.
with the snow coming down.
Yeah, which was a great moment because, I mean, he had never seen snow before. Yeah.
You know, I'm glad that Lino was able to get back home, because
Yeah.
through our conversations, he was not too impressed with
No.
with his lifestyle here. And I remember him telling me, he says, Al, I'm doing everything that I can to get back home. I gotta go back home for whatever reasons. We never discussed that, but I'm glad to hear that. I'm quite sure he's happy. That's
He's made it home. He sounds like he's got a decent job for himself.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Well, I was in the changing room with him, so I shared that changing room with him for a month for the entire show. And you know, he shared with me that I think his father was like a chief back in Sudan, and there was a level of responsibility that he felt that he had
Yeah.
to go back and take on that level of leadership that his father left behind when his father passed away. So I think it was always in the back of his mind that he had family, he had friends, he had people from his tribe that depended on his bloodline, and he had a responsibility that was bigger than him. So I think that's one of the main reasons why he went back.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think so too. He wants to go back and help on his country much as he can.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that the play, he talked about a library. Or am I remembering wrong? But that he wanted to, or he was sending books to his country, and he had a lot of interest in education and helping back home. I remember that.
There was a book written on him. I mean, he was part of the Lost Boys, which is the book about the Sudanese kids that escaped. So he was a part of that, and that actually put him in the forefront of a lot of audience members that actually read that book and came there just to see him.
How was the reaction of the audience at the time? Like, you know, when they were connecting with you, because you're not actors, right? You're the people of their community. So how was the audience reaction, and how did that affect your standing in the community as people were connecting with you or recognizing you or connecting to your stories or all of those things? How did that feel for you, and how was that for you?
Well, for me, and I think everybody probably felt the same way. It's very powerful, a very emotional roller coaster. I remember I think it was the first night, our opening premiere, and these two older white women pulled me aside and just gave me the biggest hug, and they were crying. They said that my experience was similar to their experience, or at least the experience of their mother, something like that, because they had escaped the Holocaust. right? So either they did because they're older women, or their parents did, and they were talking about how there's a lot of similarities in these stories, and how it brought them to Syracuse, just like how it brought me to Syracuse, and they felt like that there was this a connection through storytelling that made us more vulnerable, made us more close as a community. And it also felt, and they said it felt like a healing opportunity that was created through the show. So I think that says a lot about the show and the story, that people felt like they were engaging in a moment where they could heal. And I thought that in itself was very powerful.
Gordana, did you still have the store? Were people now coming to your store after the show?
Don't anymore, but till we had like at least 2-3 people a week who'll come and talk about that place till after 10 years.
Wow. Yeah. I think it's just, it's always very powerful, Ping, because I think that what you've created with these undesirable elements is giving them a home, a place of belonging, and creating that world. And like you said, how many times have you done that? And how necessary do you feel this is important to all communities?
Well, it's really about undesirable elements is really about creating a space in which people can speak about where they come from and what their experience of in the American productions, what their experience of this country is, and how they're seen and perceived, and how they see themselves in terms of their identity. So for me it's a meeting of the community, the people on stage and the people in the audience, meeting of the community, so that the people in the audience may look at 7 people on stage that don't look like them necessarily. But by the end of the show, my hope in every production is that they see that these are human beings with all the same experiences of suffering, of happiness, of pain, etc. That they aren't different than the people in the audience, and 2, that they are part of the community. But I think that the power of undesirable elements is that the people on stage are real people. They're not actors. There's the real people, and the things that happen to those people happen to them on stage.
I think one of the things that the project does, me and Sara, because I've been a part of 2 and have seen a 3rd. I saw the one with the young people in New York, which I thought was so beautiful. But one of the things it does, it really gets at the lie of the American narrative, right? It gets at the lie that one of the things that this country struggles with, unlike like France or Spain or Italy, there is a baseline foundational national narrative. America doesn't have that. That's part of the problem. We haven't acknowledged that there isn't one foundational story, so that the American story isn't in fact one narrative. It is in fact an anthology, and of many stories, right?
Or a tapestry.
Yes, but it is connected anthology of stories, and the structure and the meaning of undesirable elements, I think, really does speak to that. So your question, Joanne, was how did the audience respond? I remember opening night and people getting up and profoundly moved. And this, I must say, this project was something very new for Syracuse Stage. Tim Bond came in his first season and was like, I'm busting this shit wide open, right? Absolutely. This, people thought play was costumes, play was laughter, play was, fancy sets, play was a play, right? Yeah. And Tim said, there's, that the theater is a human space, right? Has human capability, right? Not the art as well, but the human capability. And so when this came in and the audiences were, there is a diehard, devoted fan base for this show still at Syracuse Stage. People who count it as their favorite of all things they've seen was Tales from the Salt City. So, because I think it speaks to that thing that we know is true, is that it isn't one story. You know, e pluribus unum. It's many, 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 many stories. And that was one of the beautiful things about it. And that's one of the things I saw the audience responding to. They were surprised by it. They were surprised by the truth of it, right? And it's a simple truth, in fact. Complex.
The show also brought a lot of people that have never came to Syracuse Stage before, which was incredible. I remember the first night, it felt like a movie premiere because people were talking in the audience. People were weeping, people were in shock, people were crying. It was a very emotional. It felt like they were on stage with us. I remember the most powerful part for me was when Al talked about his son being killed. And I was not ready for it, right? I was so, because, you know, this is the first time we were all on stage together. I was so worried about missing my line. So I'm waiting for Al to be done so I can get in my line, right? So I'm like, because Al's usually right above me. And when Al said his line, because you know, Al's voice is very soothing to begin with. So you're up there and it's soothing. And he said and I knew it was coming, but to hear him say it on stage and to hear the audience in shock, I started getting really emotional to the point where I forgot my line was coming up. Right? So that to me, it says a lot about the weaving of stories. You know, like these dates that Ping and Sara did was very compelling. Like the date was perfect because often there was dates where I celebrated something. My daughter was born, I graduated, and at the same time, Al just lost his son. So it's like you're celebrating and there's a loss that's happening, and everybody goes through that. And then I think Al talked about living in Kennedy Square, right? So there's names, and it connected people to the streets that they went to. So it made it very real for them. They're like, I know this date, I know this street, I know this location, I know Crucible Steel, right? I know Liberty Market. So it made it very real for them. I think that actually brought the audience closer to us.
I became an organizer, a community organizer, and I worked on that for 10 years. And I've been involved in learning about campaigning, about organizing the community so we can win at the system level. It's nice to remember this. I remember when I was in the play, and I was kind of, you know, I'm an activist, but I was working for the Red Cross. But, you know, life took me to do this job, and I cannot be so much proud of that work with other people, because this is the kind of work that you don't do alone. There's no, you know, this person is this or that. You have to work together as a community and learn to have power. You know, how do you get power? Nobody gives it to you. You gotta go out there, confront the people with power, and take it from them.
So sorry, but
What are you doing now?
working I do exactly the same Ping Chong.
Okay.
The same. No elderly. I don't work with elderly anymore directly, but I working in the emergency department for children and upstate, and I still doing theater with the kids and everything. That's what I do. Exactly the same. I switch from elderly people to younger people, like little ones. Well, first of all, I was honored to be selected by Kayo and Ping Chong to be part of this cast. I mentioned to everybody that I feel humble because my stories was nothing compared with the stories about Tal City. You know, how painful was that for many people, and I was lucky enough to, my story was kind of little sweet in between all this wonderful experience that I had with my family now from the Tal City 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So I was honored. I was happy that I had this opportunity. I never was expecting to do something like that because my background in the theater was a little more something different, like classical theater or contemporary theater was nothing like that. And I don't know what to expect, but I was so happy to be part of that. It was very, very great opportunity for me. Now when I go to Wakeman, people say, hello, hi, Papo, from the South City. And then sometimes I have tomatoes and avocado cheaper because of that. So I'm so happy. People know everybody now, and I meet Jordana, and I meet Lino and Rebecca and all these wonderful people I met. It's like a family. So, and thank you to Kayo, and thank you to Ping Chong and the rest of the cast. Syracuse had a different vision about immigrants and about diversity and so many things. So yes, all the roses are still in Cuba, Kayo. It is still in Cuba. We're living in very difficult moment and difficult time. We cross our fingers that things will get better for us. We pray for the new administration and for new things, and we are happy and to still working together. And I'm well happy with everybody in this cast, because I know that Rebecca is still working in her mission, and it's amazing. And I meet a lot of people that Rebecca touched from her beautiful heart that he has. I saw Jordana, we cried together, we laughing together, many, many wonderful things. I don't see Lino for many years now. I hope he's doing well. And I also, Jeannie Sarandoga, I don't see her. But I know that some patients come to me and they say that she's still around. So I wish her the best too. So yeah, that's what I say. I want to say the Tales from the South City is really being a very important part of my life and many people's life in this community. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Yeah.
Well, bye-bye, everybody. Sara.
Good to see you, Jose Miguel.
Jose.
Bye, Jose.
Stay well.
Cuídate mucho. Cuídate mucho.
Bye. I love you. I love you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
How you get to work with someone like Jeannie, who's so connected with and active with her community.
Yeah. So
I'm very grateful to Jeannie for her participation in Tales from the Salt City, because I think it's absolutely essential that the Onondaga people are represented in the show, and also because it's so fundamental to the history of Syracuse. But I'm very grateful to you for being there, because somebody had to speak, you know, about
That's
about
exactly what happened, because I heard about the call for somebody, and you wouldn't believe how many people I asked to take part, and nobody wanted to. And it came down to the point like, oh, what are we going to do? Because everybody's camera shy and I don't want to be the one. And finally it came down, well, I guess I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm so glad you did, you know, because it was so necessary. It would have been incomplete without you, you know?
Yeah, well, I realized that it was very necessary to have our voice, because in so many different instances, our voice is not heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that came up when we began this project, Ping, and this is just to kind of continue the importance of the Onondaga people being that voice, being their voices being involved, was you were pretty adamant, like this wasn't going to happen without without, you know, the Onondaga voice involved.
So Jeannie, I'm just curious, in the intervening years when we worked together on Tales of Salt City, in terms of local activism, how have you seen any progress at all?
Yeah.
Because I remember one of the big things you were concerned about was the lake.
It still is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ongoing. That's probably going to be going into the next generation. So we just need to keep people informed and involved so that there'll be a continuity of activism.
Yes.
And that's kind of my concern now, because I'm older, and
we all are.
Yeah. But I have to realize that you know, I'm not going to be here forever, and things a lot change with age. I get a little tired. I've had to let some things go, and having some health issues. So there's been really a push to get more people involved in environmental situations. But yeah, we have not ever given up on the lake, and we never will, because water is such a precious resource to us. And I think part of why there's not such a tiredness or giving up attitude in this work is because I'm so thankful that from the beginning of my life, I have been able to learn some of the basic beliefs and teachings of my people, so that I've learned to be always thankful and always caring for everything. So it's not like something I just found out or something I just started doing. It's like it's part of
Your
it's part of the
culture.
being. Yeah, not just it's just part of being,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeannie, what was it like for you to be on stage and the experience of being and sharing and interweaving this story with other stories? How was that experience for you?
It was okay. At first I was quite reluctant and not knowing what was going to be happening, but like I just said, the importance of knowing and sharing information, that was the most important thing, and that's how I ended up sitting there. And I'm not normally a person that would be putting myself up on stage, but I had approached so many people to do it that I thought would have been really good, and they're all reluctant and denied. And I got to the point where I thought, we've got to have somebody involved in this. It's very important to be involved in this project. So I just had to put myself in. So I just put myself in there and went along with it. And it was I can't believe how far reaching it was.
And I'm happy to hear that.
Yes, because so many people have, since that time until now, so many times people have mentioned it to me, and they recognized me. Some say, I saw you someplace before. And so my favorite thing is, well, you probably did, because I've been around a long time now. But also have mentioned the Syracuse stage just a couple of days ago. Another man, he said, I was actually on a Zoom call with a whole group of people, and I had mentioned about this reunion, how I looked forward to it, and I had missed it. And he said, oh, that was such an eye-opening, and he just said it was such a great thing for him to be learning things, and it made him more interested in the situations he heard about. Yeah.
I think
So-
one of the gifts of theater is that it doesn't preach at you. It invites you into an experience.
Yeah.
And having people, you invited people into your experience. And
Well, I got to the point where I enjoyed it.
Good. No, because it's about communication.
Yeah, it's what it is.
Particularly what we were doing. It's completely about building bridges.
Yes.
Building bridges within a community, you know?
Yeah, and that's been my work for so long, because here we are, the indigenous people in this area. We've always been here, and there are some people that don't even know we're here to this day. Don't know. They say, what? There's Indians here. Where do you live? And I've 7 miles down the road. We've always been here. So it's a constant. It wasn't something that just opened up at that time, but I thought it was necessary for the communication, and it's continued, and it will have to constantly continue the public education of people, because we all attended public school, right? Or most of us did, and the public school does not tell you the truth. They don't. And so I'm running around telling everybody they're not telling me the truth. And I really like to tell the high school students and the young kids.
Did your family, Jeannie, come and see the show?
Did we what?
Did your family
Oh
come and
yeah,
see the
yeah. A
show?
lot of my community went to see it. All of my family was there. People from some other Native communities came in. And then when a lot of people heard about it, it was too late. And they're like, oh no, you know, are they going to do it again? I didn't hear anything like that. No, I didn't know. But yeah, but I've heard comments from people throughout the years that did see it and appreciated it.
Is a part of the show, Jeannie, that you either that has stayed with you, either something you said on stage or something one of your castmates said on stage? What was there a moment that has stuck with you over these 12 years?
No, I think the whole thing stuck with me. Yeah, I can't at this point say one certain statement, but just the opportunity that it gave for people to voice their experiences and who they were. You know, I was very impressed with Imad and all that he had gone through, and I sort of wish that I kept in touch with him, but very little, and then we lost. I was so touched by his story that I wanted more people to hear it, and I was telling people about it, and just well, not just him, but I think that was the most
Yeah,
you know,
it's
that
very
was,
moving. His story is
yeah,
very moving.
yes, yeah, and I just loved him for all that he had been through in his life, and more people should see what a person has been through and where they got to is amazing. I mean, I just you know, it's just amazing because we have people going through hard times all the time, and they need to know that that's not the worst.
You
know,
can survive it. You can survive it and move forward.
Some highs and some lows, and we think we're like in the worst place, and it's not.
One of the things that stands out for me in doing the piece was in the meet and greet that we did in the rehearsal hall. And we went around for the first time and we were introducing ourselves, and this will never leave me. And we went around and we were introducing ourselves, and Jeannie, you introduced yourself in your native tongue first. And I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah, that's who I am, my identity.
Yes. And it was just, I think it was in that moment that that the train really left the station for me on this project.
And that's part of the fabric of the show too.
I mean, the origins of the project was language. That's how 1992, when I first started it, it was very much about language.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That and everybody in the original first production in 1992 introduced themselves in their own language. That's how it started. Because language is home.
Yes.
Language is the heart, and that's what enables you to have your own personal perspective on the world. And it also keeps you close to the spirit so that you can persevere through all those hard times, you know, and that's what's kept me to it all these years, you know, is the teachings that we have, our culture, and practicing our culture. It's not history, it's us, you know, we are here. Some people say, oh, we're still here. No, we're not still here. We are here. We never left, you know?
One thing that, Kyle was saying that is really resonating for me right now in the social justice movements that are happening is that there's more solidarity across causes and across, that we people standing together. And I'm curious, I think for a long time, I'm just curious to hear for you and your, young people in your community, in your life, if you're seeing more, synchronicity between like Black Lives Matter and Indigenous rights movements, and seeing the ways that people seem to be more recognizing more that these movements are interlaced and interconnected, and people need to stand together for justice for everyone. And I'm curious if that's something you're seeing in Syracuse and in the work that you're doing with your community.
Yes, it is happening in Syracuse. It's happening everywhere. Yes, it does feel good to be associated with people. I belong to various organizations or movements. Like I said, I'm connected every single day with people all over the continent, different social justice movements we're in. And the last few years have been really hectic. This is kind of a not a welcome break, but for me, but just the summer before this COVID struck, I was like across the country like 4 times with all these different conferences and movements connecting together with people to be supportive of things that people were doing. But also, I mean, that's been very good, and it helps a lot, and it's good to know what where other people are in this, and helping each other, doing trainings and learning, organizing, and that's been very good. But it also has stirred up more hatred, because that was always there, but it was not so evident. Maybe it wasn't so blatant as it is now, the racism and yeah. So it's kind of stirred up the mud in the bottom of the pot, so to speak. Yeah. So just wake up every morning and I step out. I'm really fortunate. I'm happy that I love where I live. I'm thankful that I'm here. I have traveled all over this world, but I always come back. This is where my feet are. I'm fortunate I don't have to go searching forever to find my place. So I come outside every single morning, and do a Thanksgiving for here I am. I have this place. This is where I belong. And that gives such incredible strength. Yeah, it does. Very much.
A beautiful way to bring us all back together.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to connect with, but I just wanted to thank you, Jeannie, for standing outside on one foot, connected to the north wind in order to get some internet. And it's, I think you're a true inspiration. And
Mhm.
thank you, Ping and Sara and Kyle. And I hope that this inspires all of you.